Good evening, and thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Whitney Ward. We'll get to Mark in just one moment. Our big story tonight, the Spokane man convicted of a 1994 murder learned his fate today. Kevin Boot, who was 17 at the time of the murder, was back in court today in an attempt to have his sentence reduced. Mark's over on the other side of the studio right now to break down what happened. Mark?
Yeah, good evening, Whitney. Today, the judge resentenced Kevin Boot to 32 years to life in prison, and that means with credit for time served, he could be eligible for parole in a couple of years. Judge Raymond Clary saying today that these types of cases are the hardest that he has encountered during his time on the bench. So take a listen as he issued the sentence.
This court finds that Mr. Boot's crimes reflect the mitigating qualities of youth and imposes a mitigated sentence of 32 years to life.
Here's how we got here. Back in 1994, when Boot was 17, he was convicted of robbing and killing a 22-year-old named Felicia Reese. He was sentenced to life without parole. Then in 2012, a U.S. Supreme Court ruling determined that a juvenile could not be sentenced to life without parole. 5 years later, in 2017, a Spokane County judge resentenced Boot to 50 years with credit for time served. But the Court of Appeals ruled that that sentence amounted to the same thing as life in prison. That brought us to today's hearing. Before handing down his decision, Judge Clary explained his sentencing was guided by numerous factors, including the crime itself, the original sentence, evolving case law, and mitigating factors. Whether Boot's age and mindset at the time of the crime played a role, and whether he has shown remorse and taken steps to rehabilitate himself while incarcerated.
Mr. Boot, I wish you well. I don't have the family of Ms. Reese here to express my empathy and sadness for their ongoing loss. But there's no question that these cases are the hardest cases that I've ever encountered to have to work through and render a decision.
For their part, Felicia Reese's family was not in court today, but the judge read a statement written by Felicia's mom from a previous hearing where she opposed any resentencing that reduced his time behind bars, saying that her soul aches every single day since her daughter's murder.
In other Northwest news tonight, a Washington judge has ruled the state's ban on high-capacity magazines is unconstitutional. But because of a quick appeal, gun shops are still not allowed to sell magazines which hold more than 10 rounds. Right now, there is an emergency stay on that law that continues enforcement throughout the appeals process. 14 other states have banned high-capacity magazines as well. Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson says those bans have withstood legal tests and feels confident in the appeal. All right, let's quickly switch gears. Let's take a pause and talk weather with our meteorologist, Michelle Boss.
Yeah, Michelle, the day ended on a nice note, and it seems like our temperatures are on this upward trend for the remainder of the week.
Yeah, we managed to avoid the wet weather here, at least in Spokane Valley and areas eastward did see a little bit of rain and still have a few showers out there across the higher terrain. But yeah, if you didn't mind, 45-mile-an-hour wind gust, 60s didn't feel bad out there today with that sunshine this afternoon. Taking a look at satellite and radar, you can see the showers not only across the Cascades, but the higher terrain in northeastern Washington and North Idaho. I think any chance for any additional showers on the Washington side from Spokane to say Post Falls or Liberty Lake, pretty much nil right now. We're seeing drying weather, but still a few sprinkles around Coeur d'Alene and areas eastward. But we'll still be dealing with the wind for the early evening hours. They are starting to come down, but we still have sustained winds in that 15 to 25 mile per hour range and still have wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. But again, we should see those decrease this evening and overnight. 57 right now in Spokane, still 60 in Deer Park, 60s across central Washington, mid-50s across the Palouse. Clear skies, clear to partly cloudy skies expected tonight. Temperatures a little bit cooler tomorrow morning than what we saw this morning, so we're looking at low to mid-30s, but should be a nice quiet day. Less wind tomorrow, 58 degrees. More clouds on the way for Thursday and Friday, but warmer temperatures in the mid-60s by Friday.
All right, thank you very much, Michelle. A Coeur d'Alene man accused of planning an attack on local churches in support of ISIS sits in jail tonight. This as we learn more about his alleged plans involving makeshift flamethrowers, knives, and guns.
While he awaits his first appearance in federal court, KREM 2's Amanda Rowley dug into the 18-year-old suspect's background. She is joining us live in Coeur d'Alene tonight with what we know so far. Amanda?
I'm at the Kootenai County Jail where Alexander Mercurio waits to go before a federal judge. The U.S. Attorney's Office says he was arrested the day before he allegedly had plans to attack Coeur d'Alene churches on behalf of ISIS, starting with the churches nearest his home.
She saw fire coming out
A swift arrest over the weekend in Coeur d'Alene prevented what the FBI says could have been a terror attack on behalf of ISIS. The FBI says Alexander Mercurio allegedly pledged his allegiance to ISIS and spent roughly 2 years planning to attack Coeur d'Alene churches. Today, we confirmed Mercurio is a student currently enrolled at North Idaho College. Coeur d'Alene Public Schools confirms he attended Lake City High School and graduated last year. During his junior and senior year, the district says he enrolled in the Idaho Digital Learning Alliance, taking classes entirely online. Court documents say Mercurio used a school-issued laptop to message who he thought was ISIS. In a statement, the district says it issued Mercurio a Chromebook to access his online classes. It adds all electronic devices issued to students have controls in place to manage their internet access. These controls include internet filters that block inappropriate content as required by state and federal law. The district says late last school year, the FBI asked for information related to Mercurio's online activity. The district says it cooperated as the FBI conducted its investigation.
And the potential for a coordinated attack here in the homeland is now increasingly concerning.
Through that investigation, the FBI discovered messages they say Mercurio sent in late March. They include his alleged plans to attack the nearest church and kill as many people as possible. Court documents say his plan involved using a flame sword, explosives, knives, a machete, a pipe, and firearms. I checked in with some churches in the area. One pastor told me this incident is resurfacing discussions about safety while also maintaining a welcoming environment. Now, Mercurio is expected to make his first appearance in federal court tomorrow morning. We did ask and request an interview with him here at the Kootenai County Jail, but his public defense attorney is declining all media interviews at this time. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda, thank you. And 1 person was sent to the hospital and 10 are now displaced after a house fire broke out on Spokane's Lower South Hill this afternoon.
The Spokane Fire Department says it happened just after noon on the corner of 8th and Jefferson, not far from Huckleberry's. Officials say the home is split into multiple apartments and started on one of the upper floors. KREM 2 spoke to a next-door neighbor who was home with his wife when the fire started.
She saw fire coming out of the south window and she screamed at me, "Fire!" And then so I got up off the couch and came outside, and the fire was just roaring out of the south window of the house.
1 person was rescued and is being treated for moderate burns and smoke inhalation. 2 dogs were also rescued from the building, including that one. Right now, the cause of the fire is unknown. Former U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis just received a first-of-its-kind award honoring his distinguished public service.
Yeah, he's a Pullman native and received the inaugural Thomas S. Foley Award this afternoon. General Mattis served as the nation's 26th Secretary of Defense from 2017 to 2019.
The 4-star general also participated in tours in Afghanistan and Iraq before retiring from active service in 2013. The new award will be given out annually by the Foley Institute at WSU.